All right, let's talk about Richard Wolff and his theory of exploitation. Now, this is not his theory. I mean, this is a very classical Karl Marx. And I assume that a lot of people watching this video were searching the internet online for Richard Wolff and are into him, into his lectures. But here's just a few thought experiments just to think about as far as his exploitation theory. Part of the reason I started, I found one of his videos. I guess it's the Graval Institute. It's, I guess, a bunch of lefties. They were trying to take on Prager University. So they're trying to make, shareable, memeable videos with pretty decent graphic design. Try to make try to make their ideas spread. And they tapped Richard Wolff to make a classic video about how you're being stolen from. Well, what do they mean by that? Just basically, I can just summarize it. It's if a company makes profit, or if a capitalist hires you and makes profit, you are being stolen. He's stealing your labor value because he's not giving you all the profit that he's making. And just thinking about it, I know that's what Karl Marx wrote back in the day, and well, Marx wrote it back in the day, and then it was a lot simpler back in the day. For example, people were working in factories, and you can clearly identify, oh, that's a factory worker. Oh, and you know what I mean, and that's the capitalist, that's the owner. But now things are a little, things are a little bit murky, where most people are self-employed, so that it's even hard to put them in a category. Are you a you have your LLC, you work on a team. Are you a capitalist, or you're a worker? You're a bit of both. It gets very murky, but let's just stick to the basics. Here's a thought experiment. In his video, Richard Wolff uses the example of a fast food worker, right? And because the whoever initiated the capitalist, whoever initiated the restaurant, the fast food restaurant, didn't pay the fast food worker all the profits. But had he broken even, that means not at all. If he had broken even, that means he didn't steal anything from the workers. So would that even seem right to you? Because companies go through ups and downs of profitability. Some quarters they make a profit, and some quarters they take a loss, depending on the market, depending on the demand of their goods. So would he say that, well, in the months where they lost money, they were kind-hearted people and they didn't steal anything from the workers, but some days they made a profit, and when they did make a profit, they actually stole from you? Same another example. Let's say there's one owner and one guy who makes the hamburgers, right? He pays the guys to make the hamburgers, and he just doesn't do a good job marketing them. He resells it to whatever other people, and he breaks even. He doesn't make a profit. Basically, he worked for free. So basically, he's not stealing anything from you. On the other hand, if he pays the exact same amount, but he wisens up and he go take some classes on marketing, and he markets the hamburgers that you made really well as really keto friendly, or whatever, like they're great for your body, super healthy, and then they start selling like hotcakes. He can raise the price, and then he can make a profit from the hamburgers that you're making. All of a sudden, he's a greedy person, or he stole from you, even though that because he knows marketing really well, he can actually pay you and maybe pay other people to make hamburgers, or pay you more because your work is going to be more demand. You're going to be in much more demand because he created such a business. He convinced so many people that these hamburgers are awesome. Here's another example. Let's say you're a house builder, and people like families hire you to build a house. And well, in order to build a house, you're not gonna make your own refrigerator. You're not gonna chop your own lumber. You're not gonna create your own windows. So you have to bring in all these parts together, right? And because you sell the house at a profit, like yes, you spent sourcing all these materials to build a house. You spent all this money, but because you made a profit, that means you stole from all the suppliers, even though the suppliers would hate for you to go out of business. Because let's say there's like a plumber or there's a window manufacturer, you're making a shit ton of houses, you're awesome, people love your stuff, and you're bringing so much business to them. Yeah, and they know obviously that they wholesale the windows to you and you install them in the house, and you end up making a profit. Do they want you to go out of business? Do they see you as some greedy person? No. They want you to make a profit. They want you to be successful, because the more successful you are, the more you're going to buy from their factory, and then they're making a profit. So it's like a virtuous cycle. It's like you don't, like, just like if you go to your favorite restaurant, do you want your favorite restaurant not to make a profit and go out of business and then that's it? There's also one component too of, he calls capitalist whoever sets things in motion or sets workers in motion. But at the end of the day, we're all capitalists. Like even if you go to a restaurant to get a $5 pizza or go to Subway, you brought money. You too set workers in motion to make you stuff. If you buy from Subway and you really enjoy the sandwich, are you stealing from the workers? Let's say you're a Harry Potter fan. You bought the Harry Potter book for $20, but it's really awesome. Like, it changed your life. You love reading it. You live in this fantasy world. This is the best thing ever. You would actually paid $1,000 for that book. Does that mean you're stealing? Like, hey, you're stealing money from J.K. Rowling because this thing is a lot more valuable to you than she sold it to you, and you would have paid a lot more for it. And okay, so most people, even though some people are capitalists. I mean, I would encourage everybody to be a capitalist. You can work for people. It's like if you develop some skills, you can have a really high paying job working for people. And yes, they might take some of your money. I mean, but by the way, before I forget, he does not mention the government at all. That's not mentioned, even though if you look at your paycheck stub, 35% is taken for that's not stealing at all. And on top of that, not only 35%, you're also paying the payroll taxes out of your paycheck mathematically. So if a 40% of your compensation is getting siphoned off by the government, he would never ever mention that. Hey, maybe the politicians are stealing from you too. Don't mind. Why are you blaming the employer? Why are you blaming the guy that actually gave you a chance, took a chance on you, hire you, thought you're good enough to work for his company, gave you a job? That's the guy to blame. You're not blaming the party that's siphoning 50% of your pay for you're basically doing nothing. That's a little strange. And then finally, let's take his ideas seriously and let's think about, okay, what would a world look like if companies didn't make a profit off the employees? I guess lefty, I don't know if Richard would say this exactly, but people like him say, well, it's going to be worker co-ops. Everything is going to be a worker co-op. It's not going to be a CEO or a boss. People are going to democratically vote on stuff to make products, and all the profit are going to be evenly divided, or however divided between the workers. Now, it's like, I think the problem with that is in that scenario, good luck getting into one of those worker co-ops, because if those are profitable co-ops and you have to divide the profit with everybody and the employees equally, I mean, if you have a successful worker co-op, it's going to be impossible to get into one of those. You're much more better off getting into an employer has a much better, there's a bigger chance an employer will, just because they only pay you a predetermined wage and you don't command ownership of the company. Well, it's much easier for you to hey, maybe they don't know you, maybe you suck, maybe they have to terminate you or whatever, right? It's much easier for a greedy capitalist to give you a shot and to hire you, and then you're not working out, and then to terminate you, than to actually get into some old boys club of worker co-ops where all the company profit has to be split and you actually own the company. That's just something to think about. On top of that, flip that in reverse. You're obviously, everybody is also a consumer of goods. Could you imagine the type of quality of goods or how hard, expensive things would be if you could only buy from worker co-ops? I would say your quality of life would decline. Your price is going to be much higher. And yeah, I mean, you overall, the thing about, yes, you want your employer to make a profit from your skill. Just let's say somebody has a dream. A little kid has a dream of playing in the NBA or playing in the NFL. And Richard Wolff would say, oh, why would you want to do that? Did you know, even though you get paid millions of dollars, the NFL is going to sell broadcasting rights and commercials, and they're going to make money off of you and make a profit? It's what do you care, right? You have a dream of developing awesome athletic skills. You're a superstar. People love the type of work you do. You're really helpful. I mean, you entertain a lot of people. You're making a ton of money doing this. That's okay if there's an organization that's going to fight with the media channels and fight with brands to sell whatever, to sell you and this and that, whatever. It's I've worked for people, okay, and I've left. There's people that I worked for, and then they stayed at the job way, way longer, more stressed out. Now, yes, if you're a really, really ambitious person, you can start your own company, sure, and make all the money. That's fine, but most of the people, if they're a plumber or electrician or just they know how to fix cars, most of the people would much rather just punch in the clock at 8 and leave at 5. And that's the end of it. They don't want to think about it anymore. Do you want to pay the tax of being an actual owner? That way you actually, yes, you have potential to make a lot more money, but you can lose money. It's a lot more stressful. Yeah. So, okay, just things to think about. Let me know.